I have a massive shiner today from my skin cancer operation. Have mercy on me and subscribe, even though I'm a deformed mutant. We're going to get to Big Tish James. Look at her in this public square where she has to face the people, and they are not happy. Watch this.
My question is for Tish James. Will you apologize to President Trump for wasting millions of dollars and the state of New York for a witch trial? And how does it feel to know that you will be in prison for mortgage fraud?
Thank you for coming.
He asked a question. They walk him out. Security walks him out. No free speech. Thanks for coming. He just asked a question.
We want to thank him for coming. We respect all opinions. Everybody knows those allegations are baseless. They're discredited. And so we want to thank him.
Yeah. She knows she's going to get she goes, I have a Democrat jury and a Democrat judge. I want to thank him. That is hubris. She's going down. She's in big trouble. She's not going to be able to wiggle out of this one, but it is going to expose that she has Democrat judges.
Either we fight for our democracy, my friends, or we lose it. It's tyranny or oligarchy. And I refuse to accept either option. And I will not sit idly by and allow them to trample on your rights. You elected me to stand up and defend the Constitution and the rule of law, not to protect and defend a king.
She did go on to say that the allegations apparently are baseless. So she addressed that after that. But yeah, she's worried, clearly. So she's trying to, saying this is all political.
Yeah, and amplifying your message doesn't improve it. And I think part of the problem here is that what her team is saying is really quite laughable. Her lawyer and her team came out today and said, this is all revenge because Trump campaigned on pursuing his opponents. James ran for her office based on a pledge to bag Trump on anything. She didn't even bother to state the crime. Yes. She said, I'll find something and fill that blank in later. And so it's just really otherworldly to hear her team now making that same argument. But she better be worried that these investigators might apply the Letitia James standard, because her view was anything filed under your name is yours, and you are responsible. Right. And any contradictions apply against you.
Sweet justice. No one's above the law, Tish. Remember that? She's going to forget that in about 6 seconds. But the initial guy that protested was saying that their tax dollars are paying for it. Here's more on that. New York will cover Tish James's whole lawsuit. She doesn't have to pay a dime to go against Trump.
New York Attorney General Letitia James is going to fight back against the Trump administration's allegations of mortgage fraud against her. Guess how? Using your taxpayer dollars. In New York State's budget, a provision was added that would provide $10 million towards legal funds for elected officials like James, who are defending cases against them in relation to their official duties. So James would obviously qualify for this, meaning that while she spent millions in taxpayer dollars attempting to ruin Trump, she will now use millions more to defend herself against Trump. This is truly corruption at its finest. I'm Armstrong Williams. You just can't make this up.
Absolute corruption. I agree with Armstrong Williams on that. I appreciate that take. But she's got all of her suit covered legally. That is, like he said, absolute corruption. Here's more with Andrew McCarthy on Fox. Let me just get this one started.
In your assessment, how serious are these charges against Letitia James?
Well, these all have to be combed out. The James defense team is saying that there were contradictions that were corrected, that, for example, that home was the primary residence of the other signatory. But there are contradictions here. It's an ironic defense because they're saying, look, if the bank simply looked into this on their own, they could see, that these were more units than just 4, that this was not the primary residence of James. That's a type of understanding and leeway that she refused to allow to Donald Trump. She insisted that everything that was signed in her name, and it was signed in his name, I should say, really are bound legally to him. And so they said you have an obligation to make sure everything filed was absolutely accurate. So the karma is crushing here. But the greatest irony, of course, is to hear her counsel and her spokesperson say, this is just wrong because Trump campaigned on moving against his enemies. For those of us who have covered this litigation for years, having those words come out of the mouths of James' staff really is breathtaking. She campaigned on a promise to bag Donald Trump on something. She didn't even bother to name what it was. She literally campaigned on the promise that she would nail him on anything, and then she filled in the violation later.
She is so corrupt, and this is delicious because it is her own doing that is coming back on her. And so I hope it hits her hard. This is what happens. This is justice, allegedly, and no one's above the law, as she said. I'm just going to keep giving you more of the news because this is blowing up. We've been covering this from day one, guys, years. If you subscribe to this channel, you will not miss out on the important news. Everyone else was covering other stuff. We got this one right.
It's really a fascinating, Liz, because reports say New York State Attorney General Letitia James, well, she's under investigation by the FBI, but her lawyers are calling it politically motivated. James is said to be the subject of a wire, mail, and bank fraud criminal referral to the Justice Department, all over allegations she has committed mortgage fraud. She's accused of listing a house in Virginia as her primary residence, even though, she serves as the Attorney General of New York State. That's in Albany, 500 miles away. James is also accused of falsifying the number of units in this brownstone building in Brooklyn that she owns. You have a lower number of units, you can qualify for a lower mortgage rate for that property. The Attorney General has called the accusations baseless and says President Trump is targeting her for winning that massive civil fraud case against him last year.
This is nothing more than a revenge tour. This is nothing more than vindictiveness. This is nothing more than an individual who's upset at me because we secured a $454 million judgment against him and his family.
I can't even stand listening to her talk, but I think Trump was upset at her when on day one she said, elect me and I'll get Trump. That was way before she smacked him with that lawsuit. He had a reason to go against her. And she is corrupt. We're going to find out how corrupt New York is because she's just going for a sympathetic jury on this one. And again, if you don't want to miss out on 1 second of news on Letitia James, just the important stuff, you guys came to the right place. Where sometimes you might prefer a host with a face just completely bashed up with a giant, massive, embarrassing shiner this morning. And I don't give up. If the news keeps going, I'll be here for you. I'm Doug in Exile.